All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Fire Station 9 in the heart of Phelan Village on St. Paul's East Side. I'm Fire Chief Tim Butler, and on behalf of the 475 men and women of the St. Paul Fire Department, I want to thank you for your attendance today and your interest in today's ceremony. We intended to do three things this morning. First of all, celebrate the return to health of little 4-year-old Frederick Stewart Jr. and his father, Frederick Jr. Sr., give the Stewart family an opportunity to thank the crews. Unfortunately, the Stewart family couldn't be here this morning. They had a last-minute doctor's appointment, so they had to cancel. And we also want to formally recognize the St. Paul firefighters who brought both Frederick Jr. and Frederick Sr. out of a burning apartment building, and also recognize the same crews and the same command structure that did an almost identical fire a year ago on Magnolia Avenue. Few things can match the horror of waking up to find yourself surrounded by smoke and heat from a house fire. One breath of toxic fumes can disorient you until you can't even find your way out from familiar surroundings. Several breaths of toxic smoke can render you unconscious and stop your heart, your breathing, and your life. Far too often across Minnesota, victims are killed or injured before firefighters are even called to respond. In many cases, it's just the tenacity of life. Thank you, Medic 4. In many cases, it's just the tenacity of life and the tenacity of firefighter search efforts and the valiant efforts of on-scene paramedics and EMS physicians that make all the difference. On the cold afternoon of February 4th, 2013, passerbys reported smoke coming from the upper floors of a 17-unit apartment building at 1876 East Magnolia Avenue. St. Paul fire crews quickly responded and found heavy black smoke pouring from the upper windows of the building. Floor-to-ceiling smoke greeted firefighters as they made entry. They quickly extinguished the fire and conducted searches for victims in zero visibility. 2 victims were rescued. 1 was unconscious. Both were in critical condition. Paramedics used advanced airway management techniques and transported the patients directly to the hyperbaric chamber at Hennepin County Medical Center. As a result of that extraordinary good work, both victims recovered. And here to commend the St. Paul firefighters and paramedics at that Magnolia fire scene is Assistant Fire Chief of Operations Jim Smith. Chief Smith.
Good morning. First and foremost, for those firefighters and companies that were on the fire at 1876 Magnolia a year ago, you have my extreme and sincere apologies for not getting this out to you sooner. This is something that should have been done a long time ago, but I think it's best that we recognize the efforts of the firefighters than to just sweep it underneath the rug, even though it's going to be a little late. I was at that fire, came in a little after the district chief, Stan Jadwinski, showed up, the incident commander. I saw the conditions under which these crews were working. With the winter time being a typical Minnesota winter a year ago, everything was ice covered. It was cold. The room was hot. The room was smoky. Yet still our crews were able to go in and do a fantastic job on locating 2 people that today shouldn't actually be alive for the amount of smoke and fire that were in that apartment. I am extremely honored to hand out letters of commendation to a number of firefighters and a couple of unit commendations. There was a woman found in a hallway that was brought out by firefighter Justin Briggle, Tom Farrell, Joe Hine. Bringing them out, one of our firefighters, Justin Briggle, actually injured his back bringing this victim out. But she was transported by Medic 18, the hospital where she actually survived and is alive today. The other victim was farther back in the apartment complex, back in the back room, and Tom Hernandez, Mike Asmus, and Josh Munoz were able to locate that victim and bring that victim out to safety. That person was in a little more dire straits, and Captain Brubachen, at the time Firefighter Brubachen, and FEO Klepp, Tomo Klepp, performed what's called an RSI procedure on this victim, which was instrumental in giving life-saving oxygen to this person. This person also is alive and well today, walking around, and it's because of the efforts of these great firefighters, many of whom I trained as a training officer back when they came through the recruit academy. They've really taken everything they've learned, gathered more information. They are the best of the best, and I'm honored to be up here giving them the awards. I'm not going to read the individual letters because that would just take a little too long, but I do want to recognize, and if you can come up when I call your name. Not everybody's here because in this time frame, some people have moved on to different companies and or shifts, but Justin Bragle, is Tom Farrell not here today? Firefighter Tom Farrell, Firefighter Joe Hine. Tom Hernandez. Well, is Captain Mike Asmus here? Come on up, brother. Is Josh Munoz here? Josh is out, I believe, on training on the new rescue boat. Along with this, Jeff Brubachen. Come on up. He was one of the medics at was FEO Tomo Klepp here? Okay, FEO Tomo Klepp was also involved. And then for unit commendation, one of the members, Mike Piter and Kelly McDougall, were on that rig, and one person who's here, and that's FEO Kelly McDougall. And she just went on a run. That's the fire service, folks. So another nice round of applause for these people. This next fire just happened a month or so ago at 1891 East 7th, and as Chief Butler so eloquently pointed out, it was a fire that was extremely similar to the one that happened almost a year ago, with two victims found in an apartment that was heavily involved with fire and smoke. When the first crews got in, firefighters Steve Holmes and Corey Whips were able to locate a gentleman in the bathroom. It was about as far as he could go due to the fact that the fire was in the living room blocking his travel or his exit out. They were able to reach his victim and bring him outside and transport him to a waiting ambulance. This ambulance was kind of made up. Again, where's Chief Jadwinski? He seems to be at the center of all of this stuff, but he was able to make up a crew, and it just so happens that a physician from Regions Hospitals was on scene, Dr. Bjorn Peterson, and this patient was in dire straits. They were able to RSI this patient and transport him to Regions Hospital, where again, had circumstances been a little different, he'd have been here to thank everybody here. Unfortunately, he's going to be still in the hospital for another couple of days. But and then where's Rick? Firefighter Rick Crittenden on Squad 1. While Squad 1 crew was doing what they do best in the fire room, Rick was able to go back and search the bathroom and happened to find a small child in between the tub and vanity. These people were in real bad situation with the smoke and all this stuff, and Rick was able to get that young child out, bring him downstairs, where again a medic crew was waiting, gave life support treatment to this young child, and he's at a doctor's appointment today. Yes, so he's unable to be here as well, but still it's a great thing that we got another save out of this. This fire had disaster written all over it, and it turned out to be very professionally worked by all the crews there. not only the crew, the members that I mentioned that put out or that brought the victims out, but if it wasn't for the supporting crews who put the fire out, who were able to get water supplies for our engine companies, everything worked like clockwork. And Chief Jadwinski can attest to the fact that this fire, as bad as it was, had a great outcome because of the stellar efforts by all of our firefighters. Medic 9 was made up of David Alfred and Dave Kern, and Medic 18 had Jason Trombley, Jemai Phipps, and Mike Corbett. They transported the victims. So at this time, I want to congratulate with a letter of commendation to firefighters Steve Holmes, Corey Whips. Well, let's do it individually. Steve Holmes, where are you? There he is. Corey Whips, firefighter Corey Whips. And firefighter Rick Rittington. A letter of recognition. Had he not been on the scene, things may have been different, but it was a blessing that he was on scene. We're giving a letter of recognition to Dr. Bjorn Peterson. Come on. Unit commendation going out to Medic 9, and one member of that crew is here, David Alfred. Captain Dave Kern could not be here. And I don't believe any of the other three, but Jason Trombley, Jemai Phipps, or Mike Corba. They're all on a run. Okay, those were the other three that will be receiving unit commendations as well. So again, thanks for a great job, folks. And
I just want to mention a couple other things about these four individuals, and Dave Alfred, longtime FEO, longtime rescuer on the department. Rick Crittenden just returned from a police memorial officer's bike run in Washington, D.C. Rick's father was killed in the line of duty. North St. Paul police officer shot down on Memorial Weekend 2 years ago today, or 5 years ago. Rick has been a great asset on the rescue squad, and obviously our thoughts go out to him this time of year, every year. Thanks for your work on the bike run. Corey Whips, I have done a disservice today, I'm sure, because I invited his family here. Normally don't do that on award ceremonies, so firefighters don't get upset. Corey doesn't know the chief or anything like that. I one time worked for Corey's grandfather. A couple of my high school buddies and I were going to get rich making $1 an acre pulling milkweed plants. That didn't work out so well, so I had to join the fire service. Corey, thanks, and welcome to your mom and dad for being here. Steve Holmes, brand new firefighter, along with Corey Whips on the department. His wife is here today. Welcome here. And Dr. Bjorn Peterson, this is the second time he's been recognized. The first time with the Meritorious Service Award, the highest award the department has for actually going into a fire and doing CPR while the fire was burning around him. So we're gonna have to put him on one of the short staff medic crews and actually put him in gear and make him part of our team. So thank you guys for all your work. Appreciate the rescue that you guys did here on E7. There's several critically important elements to successful fire rescue events in St. Paul. Smoke alarms at work, family egress plans that have been discussed and practiced with family members, a rapid call to 911, lightning fast response, and a quick, thorough search by St. Paul firefighters, and life-saving medical intervention by St. Paul fire paramedics and the superb staff at Regions Hospital. Thankfully, these events and these elements came together in these two incidents, and as a result, we have 4 people, including young Frederick Stewart, reunited with their families today. I have one final award I'd like to announce, and I'd like to call Chief Stan Jadwinski to the podium, please. As most of the firefighters know, Stan is retiring at the end of this month after more than 35 years on the department. He's going to be missed. He made a farewell tour, if you will, of all the fire stations, bought all the crews dinner, and had his private ceremony with the firefighters that meant so much to him over the years. I wanted to have a little public acknowledgement of Stan's work. This is addressed to District Fire Chief Stanley Jedwinski, 3rd District A Shift. Subject is a Fire Service Award. Dear Stan, fire scenes are dynamic, they're also dramatic. Fire scenes are dynamic and chaotic places of great danger. Quick thinking, decisive action, and the ability to calmly organize and coordinate response actions are vital to saving both lives and property. Those traits are hallmarks of the fireground leadership in the American Fire Service and the St. Paul Fire Department. But calm, organized, and decisive actions are not learned overnight, and they're not perfected without experienced mentors and leaders who invest countless hours, emotion, and talent into growing those virtues in the subordinates they lead. Becoming a master of this trade and then passing it on to others is vital to successful operations, personnel safety, and department tradition. For over 3 decades, you worked the fire grounds and EMS scenes of this city, gaining experience and wisdom of building construction, fire and EMS techniques, safety and survival skills, and equipment application used to save lives and property. Commended on a number of occasions for your expertise both on and off the fire scenes of emergencies, you showed a deep commitment to our citizens, your fellow firefighters, and the profession. You became a paramedic, a fire captain. You worked out of title as a district fire chief for over a decade, and you completed the intensive 4-year executive fire officer program at the National Fire Academy, an achievement unmatched by anyone else on the department. You served on a host of department committees, and having become a master of your trade, you took on the single most important responsibility of this department. You passed it on to others. You established, and for over a decade, you led the St. Paul Explorer Post number 9624, winning both accolades for the post and the hearts and minds of the young people who entered the program. They heard the passion in your voice and learned from the wisdom of your years, and some of them are on the job now as St. Paul firefighters, as firefighters in other departments, and EMS personnel from area agencies. You led the department's paramedic mentoring program for 10 years, teaching dozens of new paramedics the skill and judgment to save lives on our streets and the streets and in the homes and businesses of many other jurisdictions. You made it a personal mission to take young, eager captains and work them up in the front seat of the district chief's buggy, putting them in the hot seat without letting them get burned. You schooled them on the skills needed to become incident command technicians, instilling safety, judgment, and leadership in all of your junior people. On a number of occasions, your command presence and the personal development of your captains and fire crews have yielded near perfect execution of fireground actions, resulting in life-saving efforts. A testament to your work are the fires that your crews completed, where they completed near perfect blue card size-ups, 360 assessments, established dual water supplies, laid dual attack lines, completed primary and secondary searches, conducted ventilation, rescued at least 4 people in total zero visibility conditions, and had those victims resuscitated and en route to the hospital, all critical fireground milestones completed before the first part check was completed. That is an amazing accomplishment, and you have repeatedly demonstrated your ability to do that and do it safely. Walking down the hallways at St. Paul Fire Headquarters and looking at the historic photographs hanging there, I often look into the eyes of one of those grizzled fire officers of yesterday and remark to myself, I wish I could know everything that that guy knows about firefighting. The next generation will always wonder, what was it like and what did my predecessors know about my job that I should know? Hard lessons of survival, mastery of this profession, and life-saving intervention will never be known by future firefighters unless they're passed on. Chief Jadwinski, you've made it your life's work to pass it on, and no one has done a better job of training, mentoring, and passing on the art and science of firefighting or emergency scene management than you have. As you prepare to retire from a most noteworthy career at St. Paul Fire, I commend you for passing on your wisdom and growing the next generation of fireground leaders. You leave them, the department, and the citizens of St. Paul in great shape and in good hands. You will live on in the countless lives you've saved and in the countless lives you've changed. Your work leaves a lasting legacy of yourself and your talents on our personnel and future firefighters, and an indelible mark on our profession. It's with sincere gratitude and admiration for your lifelong work that I award you the Fire Service Award for providing sustained high performance as a fireground commander and a mentor to others. I also congratulate you on your many years of devoted, faithful service to our department, our firefighters, and the citizens of this city. You are a distinct credit to the St. Paul Fire Department. I am grateful for your extraordinary work, and I wish you the very best on your upcoming retirement and many long, healthy years together with Victoria, your family, and your friends. Thanks, Stan.
Very, very fine comments, very nice comments from the chief. 35 years on the job, but he makes it sound like as if I did all that work. Right? So I didn't do all that work. These heroes, they do all this work. So I really appreciate you coming out, recognizing our crews, and I hope that you would let me end my career the way I want to, which is a victory lap. So I'd like to do a victory lap if that's okay. All right?